I'm Susannah Shipton. I'm a partner here at AlleyCorp. We're an early stage firm here in New York. In the past, we've been generalist, and now we invest across a few different verticals. The vertical I'm in is somewhat generalist, but I cover consumer, I cover B2B, and focus a lot on commerce, which is what we're going to talk about today. We also do healthcare. We've done it for a long time. We do deep tech and robotics, and we do economic infrastructure. AlleyCorp was founded by Kevin Ryan, who's a prolific serial entrepreneur in New York. He's often called the godfather of New York tech. He founded MongoDB, Business Insider, and a bunch of other companies. So it's really that entrepreneurial operator mindset that we approach investing in incubation with. I've really spent my career in commerce, both as an operator and now an investor. I've long been obsessed with marketplaces and how they function. I'm very fortunate to be an investor in a couple of what I believe will be generational companies. One is ShopMy on the influencer side. The other is Agentio, which will kind of be the ad tech DSP of our time, I think. I think it's a really great time to be a commerce and ad tech investor. There's a convergence of forces across agentic shopping, across social, across really just an evolution in consumer taste, and also just an evolution in our attention span and where our attention goes. It's really the most valuable asset. And so shopping and ads are inherently an attention game, and having agents in the mix will make that interesting. We can expand ourselves. We have more surface area in a way, but also the bar becomes a lot higher because what's getting surfaced to us by agents over time will just be, the 4 or 5 things it's picked out. And then a marketer will have about 10 seconds to convince me that it's the right purchase. So I've been thinking a lot about how taste will evolve. We talk a lot about agents, particularly for utility shopping. A lot of that might be automated over time. They know what kind of toothpaste I like. That's not that hard. What's harder for agents to nail, I believe, is evolving taste. Creative refresh and social just move incredibly fast. And right now, LLMs are harvesting social less than they're harvesting the static web. I think that'll evolve over time, but I still think human taste will be sort of first and foremost in terms of how we shop, particularly when we shop for fun, for entertainment, for a date. It's emotion. You want to look a certain way, you want to feel a certain way, you want to be aspirational. And that's, those are human things that are harder for an agent to pick up. And so I've been thinking and writing about the convergence of those two things. Certainly, a lot of shopping will be automated over time. On the other hand, I do think that the taste piece becomes, more complex and more interesting to underwrite. As we look at these convergence of forces, I've really been thinking about it as sort of a dual track persuasion dynamic that we have going on. On the one hand, you have these agents shopping for you. That's fantastic. They're looking at things like, really visible SKU data, quick shipping, easy returns, no hidden marketplace fees. That's going to be really interesting. All of those marketplace fees are, visible right now. They're going to become hidden over time in ads and other places. Your agent's basically just looking out on your behalf to make sure that you don't get screwed over with this purchase. On the other hand, as a human, I want the bag that I saw a girl wearing in the airport because she looked organized, and that emotionally felt great to me. Or I saw an aspirational influencer with a blush that looked fantastic. Or, I'm told by my friend that these headphones will blow me away. We're not going to lose that sense of searching for something. And, I think it's actually only going to get stronger. And so, it remains to be seen what the interaction between those two forces will be. And I think, to some extent, an agent will surface options for you. We'll still mindlessly scroll at Instagram, on TikTok. There will be, other forms of shopping as entertainment. But an agent will select for, certain things that are non-negotiables. And then I'll have, 10 to 15 seconds as a user to be sort of impressed by the things that are surfaced to me. So for a marketer, that just means the bar is much higher. We're all talking about how to please an agent, but that's actually not that hard a problem because the data is structured. With we know what you need to do to be surfaceable. The much more difficult piece is actually the human side, where in that world of structured data where we know it's surfaced, we also have to figure out what appeals to human taste. I think the most sort of obvious place that the agentic world and human taste will converge in a new way is the product page. We've been talking about it for years, but product pages fundamentally haven't changed in 15 plus years. It will be interesting to see how much people actually go to product pages anymore. I think they still will, even when surfaced by GPT or other agents. There's a few companies that I've seen in that space who I think are doing really impressive work. One is Queen One, based here in New York. BounceX team, really incredible. Another is Remark, which is kind of building more of like the recommendation side. New Generation, which is based out of, they started in South Park Commons. They're all kind of tackling a version of this product page problem, making it much more exciting to look at as a human, but fundamentally very serviceable for agents as well. Given my investing background, it's no surprise that I'm very bullish on social. There's obviously several platforms that we know about now. I think it's actually a great time for more platforms to emerge in the next 5 to 10 years. The sort of like dopamine hit social behavior across purchasing is really only just beginning, I think. I think people talk a lot about how powerful agents can be in the social shopping space. I don't diminish that. They'll help creators extend themselves to do more. But I believe that, us envying other humans or wanting to be like other humans or wanting to stand out versus other humans will never go away. And that's inherently a social problem. So a couple of the companies I've backed in the space, one is ShopMy. They've done an incredible job starting with a very specific pain point, which is making the creator storefront better. The incumbent, really had, frankly, a rickety product. The commissions were in a black box. People didn't know, who was clicking, when they were getting paid. It was a glitchy experience for customers. And so they took that one pain point and said, let's make that super smooth. And from there, they've really built an incredible ecosystem over the past 5 years that now includes the consumer, which they launched today. So I would expect that to become, really an infrastructural ecosystem for social over the next several years. ShopMy, really started out building around the pain point that it's incredibly difficult for creators and brands to connect for YouTube content specifically. YouTube is an incredibly performative channel. It's a massive, massive market that, it's at least 30 billion. You could build $1 billion generational company just on YouTube. And so they really looked at the matching problem in YouTube specifically and started building there. But then they saw this opportunity to really build the programmatic ad infrastructure for the future internet. You can think DoubleClick 2.0. Kevin, who heads up our firm, founded DoubleClick. So interest in that theme was already in kind of my DNA. Benchmark did their last round. They're really an incredible team. So as I look at the next couple of years, I'm incredibly excited to partner with founders who are really thinking about how data meets taste. That could happen on the web page. That could happen in an LLM. That could happen on social. I think there's so many opportunities. It's not that complicated for us to structure, web pages as we know them to be harvestable, but the web page as we know it is going to rapidly evolve. And so there's, second and third order effects to that evolution, which are going to be incredibly investable. I'm always looking to meet incredible founders who are building in commerce and social. I write a newsletter where you can find more of my thoughts or reach out to me at Susannah@AlleyCorp.com.